Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday afternoon, and it's time for another episode of Jiles McCoy Live, your spot for tech, hi-fi, and gaming. Today is episode 306, and joining us this afternoon, we've got Jack from KEF and Steve from THX. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
How are you, Giles?
Hey, Giles.
I'm doing
Glad to be
well,
here.
thanks.
Hi, Fanatics.
Yeah, hey, everybody. So I've been looking forward to this show because, these are two of my favorite brands. I've got a lot of brands that I love, but, there's a special place in my heart for both of these brands because they have great technology and great people. So to get things going, Jack, let's talk with you a little bit. Maybe you can tell people, for the ones that don't know yet, who you are, and maybe talk a little bit about KEF too, and, what kind of products for the uninitiated that you make.
Cool. Yeah. So my name is Jack Sharkey. I've been with KEF since about 2007 or 2008. So I've been there a while. I'm an audio engineer and electrical engineer by trade, and audio is my thing, right? So it's a perfect career for me, right? Perfect place to be. KEF is just a really joyful, fun place to work. So what I do, I'm actually senior technical engineer. I do internal training and brand relations. And things like this, and
Right.
actually write on the, I write the blog, and I get to do a lot of fun little things, both on the engineering side and on the creative and marketing side. So that's kind of me and kind of what I do.
Cool. And Steve, what about you? Who are you, and why should people care?
Who are we? That's always a really good question. But I'm Steve Martz. I'm VP of Global Technology for THX. I've been there 25 years. I'm in charge of testing certification, and we write all the specifications and test procedures and everything that we do for testing all the home theater equipment that we do in our labs. We've been in this business for since 1990, so a good 30 some years in the home theater business, writing standards and setting levels of performance for home theater. During that time, I've been there most of that time, and it's just been an amazing place to work. I know, like Jack's saying, he just loves working there. I love this company, and just like going to work every day. So
Awesome. All right. So for all, everybody that's watching out there, the reason that we have this show today and the topic that we're going to discuss really is this coming together of THX and KEF to create what I like to think of as a beautiful mashup. So if you've ever seen those songs out there and they've got like one from one person and one from somebody else, or two groups, and they put them together and it creates this beautiful combination. Well, that's kind of what's happened with THX and KEF because, and I think this was just announced yesterday, there are two new architectural speakers that have been released by KEF, and they integrate some cool new KEF technology, but they're also THX certified, right? And I want to talk a little bit about the speakers and then maybe get into what the THX certification means, and because there's like different levels of all this stuff in there, and people might not know what they are, and it's really important to understand those things. So I think maybe to set the foundation for everyone, Jack, could you tell us a little bit about what these products are and what they're used for, and why people would be interested in them?
Absolutely. So first of all, right, it's the Ci5160REFM-THX.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, I know, right? I had a little trouble there in the end, and I apologize for that. And the 5160 REFM-THX. These are actual reference level products, right? So just real quick to talk about reference, we put our first reference products out in the early 1970s. They're handmade. They have to actually perform to within a half a dB of the reference prototype. If it doesn't match that half dB, we don't sell it. So it's a real, as a consumer, it's a real badge of honor to have a reference product. And so just like our floor standards and in the traditional form reference, this is an in-wall reference speaker. It performs to that same reference quality, right? 11 millimeter thick baffle on the front. These things are stiff. When you get them in the wall, they're not going to vibrate. You're not going to have all these extraneous little nasties going on at certain frequencies or whatever. And then, so talk a little bit about what it actually means. The CI3 means there's 3 drivers. It would be 2 LF drivers and a UniQ. And the reference 5 part of it, or the CI5, is 5 drivers, 4 LF and 1 UniQ. Then 160 is the size of it. So it's a 6.5 inch, or yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. It's a 6.5 inch driver. It's reference, it's meta, which I'm going to talk about, and then THX, which I'll defer to Steve, pardon me, the expert on that. So meta is something that we've been introducing in different product lines. Blade and reference got the meta upgrade last year. It first came out 2 or 3 years ago with our LS50 meta. It's really a neat technology. This is the first time you're going to see this in this sort of an in-wall reference level product. What it basically is a disc that sits on the back of the tweeter, the UniQ assembly, and it captures the back wave. So you don't have any of that. For those of you who may or may not be familiar with what back wave is, a speaker puts the same amount of energy out front that it puts out the back. The stuff that goes in the back is no good because it swims around and it swirls around in the back, and it'll eventually come back to the driver and interfere with it. So what we're actually able to do is get rid of like 99% of all that back wave energy from 660 hertz and up, which is amazing. And when you hear that, whether it's in the LS product or now in R series, reference, or Blade, the distinguishing improvement is the detail in the sound stage. It's amazing to hear how much each instrument has its own space in the sound stage that you might have thought was there, and then reference just opens that right up in the most subtle detail. So we're really excited about that technology, and we're really super excited to be.
Yeah, and I want to jump in on that a little bit for a second too, Jack. So, I've had a lot of people, they come to me and, they'll watch a show like this, or they'll go and read about the technology, and they'll say, Giles, is this legit? They're like, I don't know. This looks like one of those little games that's got the ball and you roll it around through the maze and try and get it. It's like, really? And, I do want to assure people that the difference is subtle. I mean, it's not going to be something that comes and smacks you in the face and you're like, right. But there is a difference, right? And it really does, this little maze on the back does allow all these frequencies to bounce through, and it dissipates that energy, right? In a way that in an open box, it can't, right?
It can't do. And there's no doubt that it's a nuance. As we keep improving speaker technology and we move forward, the improvements from one product to another, to the listener, they're going to be smaller because we're getting better and better and better as we go. However, that being said, once you lock on to this difference and you hear it and you notice it, it becomes far more than nuanced. It's because, right, just like you've experienced yourself, it hits you really hard in terms of the detail. So what I always tell people, if you're going to go do a demo or you have a reference or you have a meta product rather, pick an instrument. Just it could be a cowbell, a tambourine, a background vocalist, whatever it is, and just focus in on that.
But cowbell is best.
Well, because we all need. What do we need?
We always need more of it.
Thanks, and thanks for setting me up on that one. I appreciate it.
Some people are out there, they're like, what's this about cowbell?
Cowbells, right? Yeah. If I could do a Christopher Walken impression, I would be doing it right now. But I'm
oh my God, that would be awesome. One day, let's practice it for the next show.
So, but it's subtle and it's nuanced, but it's real and it's there. For years and years, ourselves, we in 1967 put out a product that had a 32-inch long tube that came out the back of the tweeter that theoretically was supposed to swallow up all this back wave energy. The problem was it introduced a whole host of other different distortions and things. So this is not something that we just kind of said, hey, let's just do this. I actually have a record of a patent from another company from 1941 that goes back to capture back wave. So yeah, it's a real thing. Being able to work with metamaterials, which is basically we used plastic, which you would not think of as a sound absorber or
not at all.
Not at all. But yet it's plastic and it does a wonderful job. So there's that. You attach that to our UniQ technology, right, which is a coincident driver where literally the high frequencies come out of the tweeter at the same X, Y, and Z axis as the mid-range driver, right? So all the sound is arriving at your ear at the same time. You add the tangerine waveguide to that. The vertical dispersion is amazing, which for an in-wall product is actually really important because you don't have to fuss with that tweeter being exactly at ear height, because the horizontal dispersion and the vertical dispersion is wide enough that, right, if you have a mezzanine in your theater where, you know, seats are a little bit higher than the others, the folks in the front who maybe below tweeter height are not going to get robbed of any of that sound. So you start coupling all these technologies, plus the fact that it's handmade, super stringent testing and requirements to get it out to the customer. It's a product we're really, really super proud of.
Right on. And, you know, Chris, so welcome, Chris. You know, he says that the differences actually can show in measurements, right? So it is having a demonstrable impact on the sound. So it's not just mythical, like, believe us, we're telling you that it's working. You know, for
what it's worth, I've been an audio engineer since I'm 20 years old. I used to work front of house and do theater installations and stuff. And there's one album I used as my reference album, and I thought I knew it cold. And it's just Donald Fagen, The Nightfly is the album that I always use as a reference. So I thought I knew it cold. Been listening to it for, 40 years.
And the first time I heard it, how many? 10.
I'm not repeating it. Nope. Enough now. That's enough now. But the first time I heard it, I was shocked at things that I knew were there in the mix, but now suddenly had this wonderful prominence and this wonderful air around them. So it was really revealing and exciting for me, who I'm around this stuff all day. It was kind of awesome.
Right on. So, you talk about the exacting standards that the speakers are built to, and I think that's really a great segue into the special magical sauce that THX kind of brings to the relationship, right? So, I kind of think of THX as like this big bouncer bodyguard standing here, right? And this little speaker walks up, and just imagine a speaker with like, hello, am I good enough? And the bodyguard looks the speaker up and down and says, you pass. And it can go, but then like, no, you're not good enough, and then disintegrates the speaker. So, right? I don't know. That's kind of in my mind of what's happening in the factory here. But Steve, maybe you could tell us really what's going on. As that, I'm sure that there's not a magical genie person that's disintegrating speakers that don't,
Yeah, it's not so much of a big bouncer. It's quite a robust procedure and process of going through these speakers. I mean, we're when we started this program, I mean, we and specifically Thomas and Holman back in the late 80s and launched it in 1990. He's looking at taking all the great cinema experience and bringing it home, because at the time it was kind of, there's a mismatch of equipment and not a lot of standards and stable and listening environment. So he's trying to stabilize that a lot by bringing technology and standards into that space. And it was just basically to make sure that the playback of this great content is also represented in the home in the same way that you heard it in the movies that he developed, a decade earlier. So it's all to that goal. It's like it's about the experience, about the user sitting there listening to the Donald Fagen, listening to the Star Wars movie or whatever it is, just making sure that I heard everything and that I saw everything exactly as the director intended. So we developed those specifications for that. And for this particular type of product, this in-wall, this speaker, we go through hundreds of tests, maybe 400 or 500 tests that we go through when we test these in our lab, and we literally put them up in a baffle wall. We make specific cutouts for them. In this case, we build a back box for it, to simulate the back box for the speaker that's needed for Jack's speaker. And then we go through all the on-axis and off-axis tests. We test for distortion, impedances, and sensitivities, and we really go through the gambit and sort of try to identify how this product performs and take all the information and compare it to our specification for how it needs to be. And then that's where the bouncer comes in and says, okay, look, we got all these things down, and it was yes, it's magic. The speaker sounds fantastic and passes all of our standards, and we put the stamp of approval on it and say, yes, you guys did a fantastic job. And actually, to one point there, Jack, the meta you were talking about earlier, you did a really good job with that. That is a really good job of reducing resonances in the back of this speaker. So, it's a really good material, and I'm glad to see you using it on other products as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's wonderful to hear because we are so excited about it. So that's excellent. And to kind of bounce back on that, right, we're super proud to be associated or affiliated with this product with THX. It's like 400 tests. These bouncers, Giles, I love the analogy. I got to work with it. I got to go with it. Right,
the enforcers.
Enforcers. I like that even better. Right, but it's 400 tests they're not kidding around tests to get these products certified. So this is why this is a big deal to us, because we're really very proud to be able to have that certification as part of these speakers.
Right on. Now, so there are two different models that we're talking about today, the 5160 and the 3160. And now they're certified at different levels. Is that correct?
That's
Steve, maybe
correct.
you could tell us a little bit about what those different, and are there other levels, and what does that really mean?
Well, yes, there are different levels of certification. We look at the experience, what that content needs to do in each different room size. We kind of break it up in room sizes and listening distances. And, we have our different categories based on those. I'll go for a second. But, we're really happy to work with KEF here. This is the first time we've been able to work with them on a THX Dominus product, and that's our newest category of performance. This is the largest rooms, they're for listening distances of about 20 feet, up to 20 feet, and volumes about 6,500 cubic feet in room volume. And the reason this category is so special is it's actually something we've been trying to do for many years. And the problem is that it's kind of a gap in the market where you have all these high performing speakers for smaller rooms and shorter distances, and then you have these longer distances where you go for high power designs where you have very horn loaded systems,
like a big PA system
and PA system, cinema system, thinking like small screening rooms for cinema. So high power, but you have certain sonic characteristics of that, and then you have lower power but higher fidelity or more natural sounding products. So really in the middle is you couldn't get enough power out of the smaller speakers, and you couldn't get the sound out of the powerful speakers. So until recently, where we're able to develop technologies and things that kind of bridge that gap. So we're really happy to see KEF be able to move the 5160 reference speaker into that category. They worked actually, we worked with them on that. They had to make a few changes to achieve that level of output, and they did a fantastic job of doing it. So we're really happy to have them in the Dominus category, in the Dominus family of speakers.
I would like all of my speakers to be Dominus certified just because I think it sounds cool.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
It's Dominus, right? I mean, come on now.
I want to put a sign up at one day in front of my theater that says, "Welcome to the Dominus Theater."
That's right. Right. Yeah. And have a free bouncer. We'll send you a free bouncer.
Absolutely. I'm going to have a cutout of Jack holding a cutout. The cutout is going to be him holding a cutout of Steve, and Steve holding the THX logo. A cutout of a cutout.
I think that'll work just fine. I'll follow up on that one, Giles.
Yeah. So one quick comment, and Steve, or I guess it's for Jack rather. Have you heard the Nightfly live album yet? That doesn't mean anything to me, but I assume maybe that's the music you were talking. I don't know. Nightfly live.
I'm actually embarrassed to say I didn't even know that there was a Nightfly live album out there. So, but I know what I'll be doing this evening. After I listen to my Unicorn by Irish Rovers hits album, I'll be listening to that one for sure, 100%.
Right on. So Chris is also asking for a picture of them, and I assume it's not a picture of the cutout holding the logo, because I've not made that yet. So that photo is not available. But maybe of the speakers. I don't have a picture queued up. Jack, do you know if this stuff is up on the website yet?
Yeah,
they were just announced yesterday.
Yep. So, and for us, when we announce, that means it is there and it is available. So you can just go to kef.com and go to the CI section, and it'll be right there. Okay, great. So everybody, I'll have a link down below to all of this, so you can go check it out and see these. I guess I don't. It's not firsthand because it's not like real, but at least you see the picture of it firsthand. I'm curious. Are these the same kind of speaker that you used or KEF used in the listening lounge in New Jersey? Yeah, for all intents and purposes, they are. One cool thing about the UniQ that's in reference products that's in this in wall, these are the exact same UniQ that we use throughout, and it's the same that we use in Blade as well for the first time ever. Now, obviously, it's a new product, so we don't have the this particular product in the theater as of yet, but we do use 3160s and 5160s in that room. In fact, the background is that's the screening room. That's the KML. It's in our New Jersey office. So yeah, when we put that together, which is just an amazing room, it just sounds unbelievable. It's a showcase for our highlight products. So as we move forward, we'll port these products into the theater as well.
Awesome. Now, Steve, to turn back to you for just a minute, thinking about the relationship between THX and KEF, this isn't something new, right? This has been around for a while, and I'm just curious if there are plans for more things down the line, or are there other KEF speakers that are THX certified, or are these the first ones? What's that relationship look like over time?
Over time, it's been a long time, actually. I don't. Dave Kroll was telling me, I think it was 25 years, I think, since the first one was certified by THX.
It's actually a little bit longer than that now, just by a couple of years. It was 1993, 1994, right, maybe. Yeah.
So it's been a minute, of KEF and THX working together, and it's been a great long relationship. I'll let Jack answer the question about future products, but we've been doing a lot with KEF over the years, and we look forward to doing much more.
Awesome. And I'm going to skip over the answer of future products and go straight to what we have.
I love it. I love it. That means there's something coming, everybody out there. Let me translate.
It means nothing. It's neither a confirmation nor a denial. It's just moving from here.
Control.
It hasn't even made it to the point where I've gotten information that's in embargo. And what that means is, when the cool new details come out, they send it to the folks, the media, right? So media can get ready to talk about it, but they'll say this information embargoed until a date. That means you can't talk about it. And I guess they come and use electrical prods or something if you break the news too early. I've been too scared to ever, break the law. But
as am I.
Right, exactly, right. But obviously, there's something so cool that I don't even know about it yet coming. So I'm totally making that up, everybody. But I bet there is. And anyway,
just to echo that, I don't know about it either. So at this point, but we do have a full line of THX certified in-wall products. Again, go out to the website. So maybe you have a smaller theater that you're putting together, but you still want to have that THX certification to have the best theater you can have. We've got products that will work with that. So yeah, there's a full line. These are, references like a flagship line for us. So I'm going to go ahead, say these are like our flagship CI products. And yeah, so I mean, we've got everything from the smallest rooms right on up to the Dominus size rooms ready to go for you.
Right now, so THX isn't just KEF alone. They work with a lot of different companies and do things. If people wanted to find out more about equipment, whether it's speakers or whatever it might be, how can they find out who all THX has worked with? Yeah. Do they go to the THX website, or do they go to Google, or how do they find out?
Yeah. I don't think the new stuff is up yet because we just announced this yesterday. But we would go to thx.com and look for the product finder. It's in the top tab there, and pull that down, and you can find all the great KEF products and other products that THX works with. Just go to our website. I do want to talk about KEF and this product, and especially UniQ and stuff for a second here. So we have this THX Dominus category, which is the largest rooms. It's like pretty much plus 6 dB, a doubling of everything from our standard category, which is THX Ultra. And the THX Ultra is our basically the original. We didn't have categories when we first started. It was just a home theater of a specific size, and that size is like 3,000 cubic feet. About 12-foot listening distance, and that's what everything was designed for. Since then, realized people have smaller rooms and even smaller rooms and bigger rooms. So we developed categories and product specifications for those different types of spaces. But what's really great about this product and this UniQ is that sort of off-axis response. That driver lets, because typically these in-wall products are mounted in wall and they're not angled towards the listener. So you have the on-axis straight ahead, right, and that's sort of past the left and right of where people sit. But this UniQ design really leaves good off-axis response. So anywhere you go in this room, you have very, very similar response. It sounds the same everywhere you go, which is like, I think Jack was even talking about vertically, so that's true. You have people sitting closer and people sitting further. You have that vertical and horizontal dispersion that just is fantastic for this type of design. So
it's along
it's a really
170-degree dispersion pattern, which
it's huge. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty big.
Yeah. It's great.
That's outstanding. All I know is that I'm saving my pennies because I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need 11 of these. Then I can have my own KEF listening lounge. That's THX Dominus.
Well, they're in walls, so you could theoretically put one in between every stud in the room and just sort of like pack the entire room with speakers.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to Trenov and be like, I need 2 of your largest processors, like two altitude 32s. I need 64 channels, please. Let's go.
32,000 channels.
I'll reach out to Dolby and be like, please expand the Atmos specification for more
128
channels.
Is not enough for me. Yeah, we got to double that.
Totally not enough.
Yeah. I have a question for Jack, though. Where did they find out the information for the back box design for the 5160?
It's really cool because we don't use an actual back box. The UniQ and the driver itself is designed as its own back box. So technically the speaker is in free air, if you will, but the way that the speaker, the back of the speaker is designed, it takes up the space for a back box. Now on the website, we do have the specifications for the size of the cavity that you want to have the speaker in. They're going to fit in a normal stud bay, but we recommend, you'll see all the recommendations out there in terms of putting some fiber, some damping material in there and whatnot. But there are specifications by liter of what you want that cavity to be, because basically the wall itself, the stud bay itself, is going to act as the back box. We've designed it to be used as simply, this is for the installers and whatnot, as easily and as simply as possible. Cut the hole, put it in, make sure that your measurements are close. Obviously, right, the closer you are in size, the more optimal the sound is going to be, but there's a lot of wiggle room in there too. So it's really super, super easy for a guy like you who's going to put in 11 or 12 or 13 of these. You can just go do the calculations and figure out what your stud bay size is and put them in.
Mm-hmm. Great.
That I've discovered that in general, most CI installations, and just for folks that don't know, the CI in the title of these stands for custom installer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Not to say
install.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, custom install. Not to mean that you can't do it yourself, right? Custom, you can do your own custom work, because I've done plenty of cut holes and mount speakers and that kind of thing, and it really is pretty straightforward. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but my guess for this is you cut the right size hole, you connect the positive and negative off the the speaker cable coming in, you slap it up in there, and then you use a screwdriver to bolt it in, and it's kind of that straightforward, right? After you design the room and figure out the optimal placement and all that kind of stuff, right?
Sure. And that's absolutely, Giles, absolutely. But just to kind of fill everybody, we spend a lot of time working in partnership with our installers and dealers and making sure they're educated up on not only just our products, but theater design in general. There's so many different things that go into it. So absolutely, if you wanted to do this, you could. But I will tell you, you can get an even more optimal experience by using it. These educated guys who work with it on a regular basis. Yeah. So it's best of both worlds when you think about it.
Agreed. Just a couple of comments here. So the in-wall speakers can be mounted in the ceiling. Absolutely. So would you ever imagine people using this for an Atmos placement?
These particular products?
These particular products. So you're going to be off axis pretty hardcore up in the ceiling. Now, that being said, in my ceiling, I have in-walls like this that I'm using for Atmos, and they're fine. It seems like these, though, with a really wide dispersion, would be able to handle it better than most flat kind of in-wall speakers?
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
Just the CI in general, anything with the UniQ in general is going to work really, really well for that. I would caution somebody who was thinking about putting a 3160 in the ceiling that you make sure that you have it cabled on at least both ends up to some very serious structural member of the house rather than just the plasterboard. But that being said, any one of the products, we have the Ci5160RR, which is a round 8-inch speaker. That's a 3-way speaker that could be fabulous in-ceiling Atmos speaker or surround speaker.
He's talking more about weight than he is about the speaker itself or the
absolutely
stuff like that.
Yeah, weight. I would, we have specific products for that. Personally, a 5160 in the ceiling, unless it was cabled in, if you flew it in with aviation cable to a structural member of the family, to the house rather, short of that, I would go elsewhere. I would use a different product. It's how we've designed them.
That is a beefy speaker. All right. Couple more. And this is going to get off topic a little bit, but talking about Dominus and KEF, do you guys know, have you worked together on certification for any subwoofers yet? With KEF and THX?
Not in the Dominus category. No.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I think
we worked with KEF on
Ultra,
subwoofers.
right?
Yeah, Ultra, yes, and
Ultra,
and possibly
right on.
Select.
And then, does KEF have any non-in-wall speakers that are THX certified, or has that been that collaboration really been kind of reserved for the theater market with the in-wall stuff?
Yeah, because there's a lot of other considerations in there, because when you're designing a fixed speaker in a wall or in a ceiling, it's to the design. You can do it when you're dealing with a floor stander or whatever. There are so many variables about play. It does change that game just a little bit.
Right on. Okay, so we're rolling to the end of our time here, but there's one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and that was for folks that are interested in these speakers. They're like, okay, I got to have these things. What is the best avenue for them to pursue that? So what do they do? They're like, I want them. What's their next step? Where do they go? What do they do? Who do they talk to?
Get to your dealer, right? We have there's a dealer locator on our website as well. So depending on where you live, so get to a dealer, or you can deal with one of our consultants online directly through the website. So
that's cool.
And, so you can, however, if you live in Moose Jaw somewhere, is there a Moose Jaw in the United States? I'm sure there is.
If there's not, there will be one soon
in Montana.
There better be, exactly, right? So I mean, if you don't have a dealer nearby, you can get right directly with us. So a lot of times you want to go to a dealer so you can hear it and get that extra level of service. But we actually have really super qualified people in our own online store that'll take care of that for you too. So it's really kind of actually easy for you to hook up with these, whether you want a demo or not.
Right on. Do you know if they're going to be showed at CEDIA or Expona or any of the shows that are coming up?
I don't.
I know I'm putting you on the spot with that question because that's probably a whole different group, but that is a cool way to hear stuff if you don't have another option.
Yeah, and so I'm going to leave it at that right now, that I personally don't know what the plans are for that particular product and any shows coming up in the near future. But as we know, I'd be more than happy to give a shout out and let you know when we're going to do something, just so you have that information.
Yeah, please do. And then, if I get notification of that, I'll drop it down into the notes whenever it comes along. So if somebody comes and watches this in the coming months, look down below. And if I know where these will be at a show, I'll put that down in the notes below so everybody can check that out. All right. We are over time. There are more questions, but I think we're just going to have to close it up, and maybe we'll have another conversation again in the future and we can cover more of those. Jack, Steve, thank you so much for joining today. It's really been a pleasure having you on, talking about your brands and the collaboration that you have with this new product.
And thank you. Yeah, Giles, it's always a pleasure and a joy. I look forward to hanging out with you whenever I'm on. So I much appreciate it and the opportunity as well.
And thanks, Fanatics, for hanging out with us and spending your St. Patty's Day.
Oh, absolutely. And for everybody else out there, your time is valuable too. So thank you so much for joining us. Remember, I create this content every week. If you like it, please like and subscribe so you'll be notified when more of this cool content drops. And let me tell you, this is the coolest content out there. And let me see if I can point at it. Even YouTube agrees. There it is. For those who know, you know. And for those who don't, ask in the comments and I'll tell you. But with that, we're going to go ahead and close it out. Thanks, everybody. See you guys in the next video.
So long, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye.